Hello everyone, this is a tutorial on how I draw realism portraits using oil pastels. In this video, I'll be doing a drawing that has a neon green lighting, just something that is a little different from the other tutorials before. And I've also gotten a lot of comments on this specific drawing, so this is why I'm doing the tutorial for it. I use the gallery by Monge Soft Oil Pastels as always, and I'm only using the 12 color set just because I like to personally stick to a limited palette. I'll start off with a very simple sketch. I did not film the entire process for this one, but in the next video I'll be doing a breakdown on how I sketch my references or drawings and how I keep the proportions accurate, so look forward to that. But after I'm done with my sketch, I'll just go in, add a few details, and then go in with an eraser, a kneadable eraser, and I'm just going to erase it so that it's very light. Then I'm going to start by outlining the eyes with black because that is going to be the darkest shade in my reference. I'm simply just going to fill in the iris as well as the outline of the eyes. When I'm happy with how the outline looks, I'll just go in with cobalt blue and basically start to fill in the iris. I'll still leave a part of the iris, like the bottom part of the iris, with no color just because I want it to be lighter, which I'll fill in with the emerald green. I'll kind of put the emerald green right over the cobalt blue because I just wanted to create this sort of turquoise color. Then in the area where I had previously left the part of the iris, the bottom part of the iris, empty, I'm going to go over with the light green. And then you'll see me constantly wiping my pastel on a tissue paper just because I don't want any pigment that's transferred to the pastel to transfer onto my page. To try to bring more warmth into the eyes, I'll go in with yellow just over the green, the light green that I'd put originally, and that will basically represent the light hitting the iris. Because the pastels are thick, it's very easy for everything to get smudged together, so I'm just going to go back in with the black and kind of redefine all of those tiny details in the outline of the eye. I'll also go in again with the light green to just try to fix if I'd accidentally gone too overboard with the black. I'll then go in with my white pastel and I'm just basically gonna apply more pressure here. I'm focusing on the white part of the eye. This section tends to kind of ruin all the progress that I've worked on the iris before, so after I do this part, I go in again and basically redo the entire iris again, the same colors as before. So it'll be the cobalt blue, emerald green, and light green, as well as the black. do the same thing for the other eye, and I try not to focus too much on the details. I'm just basically trying to get the overall shape, and I really like this very soft look that I get when I don't add too much details to the eyes. When I'm happy with how the eye look, I'll go in and start to extend the eye outwards. So I'll start working on the upper eyelid. And I noticed that when I use the light green over black, I get this very nice, just murky green. So I'll go in with that first, and then I'll layer it over with the ochre shade right in the center of my eyelid, as well as the bottom left edges. And the same with the inner corner of the eye. I'll sort of alternate between the light green and the ochre shade, just because I really want to have this warm yet mild tone. When I notice that areas need to be a bit darker, I'll go in with the darker green, so the emerald green, and I'll basically use the back end of the pastel for the areas where I want thinner lines. And then I'll layer over it to sort of blend that emerald green together with the light green as well as the yellow. I'm applying more pressure to the green and the yellow just because I want the bottom part of the eye to be brighter than the eyelid. Because the reference picture has this sort of flashlight effect going on, I'll go in with my white pastel. Notice how the white pastel had a bit of black on it, so it transferred onto my paper. This is very common with oil pastels, which is why you have to constantly just wipe pure pastel on a tissue paper. To get this sort of flashlight effect, I'll basically go in with the light green as well as the yellow, and I'll go on the outside of the face, just barely on the edges, leaving the middle part blank, so I can go in with my white pastel, and then I'll apply pressure here to sort of blend all those colors together, because it's easier to blend the colors with the lighter pastel than it is with a darker pastel. And then in some areas like the creases of the eyes, I'll go back in with an ochre shade or the green shade to sort of just sketch those out or shade those in. Because my light source is coming from the top right downwards, the nose will have just a shadow on this left side. So I'll go in with my light green first to just sketch out where the shadow is going to be. I can always layer it with different colors to make that specific shadow darker, but because I want that flashlight effect, I'm not going to make it too dark. Then I'll go over it with my ochre shade, and I'm just going to sketch in the darkest parts of the shadow. That's usually right around the main part of the nose as well as the bridge. In the area between the shadows and the very bright areas, I'll go in with the yellow, and I'll just sort of use it as my main midtone. This will help blend the shadows with the light, and then it'll just create a nice contrasting look. And then, like usual, I'll just go back in with the white pastel to sort of blend everything together. Because of the flashlight effect, the colors in the shadows tend to be a bit blurry, or that's just personally what I think. So I'll go in with the white again over the areas where I sketched out the shadows on the nose would be, but I'm using very light pressure in this specifically because I don't want the white pigment to be too much on the nose. To be able to differentiate when the nose ends from the cheek, I'm just going to go in with emerald green and kind of sketch out where the bridge of the nose will look, and I'll start to layer it with white as well as light green to just soften the effect of that emerald green. Here, you'll see me apply a bit more pressure onto my white pastel just to sort of fade out the harsh pigment from the emerald green. I'll go back with the light green just to sort of make the shadows on the nose just a bit more colorful because the white did fade them out a bit. I'll also do the same with the ochre shade, and then I'll do that specifically on the edge of the nose. I sort of use the light green as just a way to block out where the shadow is going to be before I go over it with the ochre shade to darken it, which is what you'll see me do for the bangs here. This just basically makes it easier to layer the foundations or the midtones of the shadows. This also makes it easier to blend the very dark strands of hair with the face. To blend the shadows with the lighter areas of the face, I'll go in with the light yellow or the white, and I'm just using those to blend the shadows with the lightest sections of the face. I use the light green to add some loose strands from the hair, just the shadows that are created from those strands. I'll then go in with my emerald green and I'm just going to outline the top of the eye to sort of start to blend the eye with the eyelid and then create this soft vibe. This will help the black blend in more with the face. Then I'll just layer it with the light green right on top of it, and I'll slowly start to drag it upwards. Same with the ochre shade. I'm not dragging up too far because this is just basically going to be my eyelid, and because light green is my main mid-tone, it's the color you see me use most to blend sort of all of the colors together. The yellow just adds a lot of warmth to just help tone down the brightness of the white, because the white does tend to make colors look murky or sort of faded. Although her eyebrows are covered by her bangs, I'm still going to go in first and then add or outline where the eyebrows would usually go. This is because most of the time you can sort of still see the overall shape of the eyebrows even though the bangs do cover them. And I'll start to blend the outer part of the eyebrow with the ochre shade. Here I'm going over it and just basically outlining where the bangs are going to specifically hit which area of the eyebrow. For the creases on their eyes, I'll just go in with the ochre shade as well as the emerald green, and I'll sort of just do the same exact process of layering from dark to light. Here I'm not dragging it too down because I don't want the creases to be too heavy, especially because the flashlight is directly on the face, so they won't really show anyways. Because the flashlight is hitting the left side of the face a bit more, I'm just going to simply go in with the light green before blending it all out with the white, because I don't want too much color in that area. Although I did notice that the color was a bit faded too much from the white, so I did go in again with the yellow, just very lightly over it, barely applying any pressure at all. again with the light green, just to sort of fade out the warmth from that yellow. I repeat the process again for the shadows created by the nose onto just the top lip, where I'll layer light green, yellow, and white, as well as the ochre shade for the darkest areas. I'll just repeat the process until I'm happy with how it looks, and then remember to just be patient with this. Try to take it slow and then work in very thin layers, and then it'll slowly start to appear more blended as you increase the layers. If you rush this part, it's easy for the colors to get murky. For the lips, I'll just go in with the ochre shade and just basically outline where the top lip is. Then I'll go in with the light green and sort of just shade in the right over the ochre shade. I'll keep repeating that process of layering the ochre and the light green just until I'm satisfied with how the lips look blended. I'll go in with a bit of yellow just to add some warmth to the lips. Before going in with the white to just sort of be able to differentiate between the bottom lip and the top lip, because the bottom lip will have more light on it than the top lip. For the areas that I want to be dark like the background but then not have it too dark, I'll just go in very lightly with the black before layering it with the emerald green. And as you can see, I sometimes use the back end of the pastel if I want just to be more precise, because it is very hard to be accurate with oil pastels because of their thickness. And then to sort of blend that out with the face or the main figure, I'll just go in with the light green and then put it right between that. I'll do the same just around this area to sort of sketch out the face, like the outline of the face. I was going to start with the hand, but then I sort of decided to finish the object in front of her lips first. And that will just be basically different variations of green. So it'll be emerald green, light green, white, and then some yellow. Then back to the hand, I'll go in with the black and I'll just go in very lightly. Here I'm barely applying any pressure at all to just basically outline where the darkest shadows of the hand are going to be. This will also help me just sketch out the outline of the hand itself and to be able to differentiate between the fingers. Then I'll go in with the russet shade and I'll just go over the black, because when I layer the russet shade with the black, it gives me that like darkish brown shade that helps add a lot of contrast to the hand. Before I go in with the ochre shade to blend it all out together without having the colors appear as too light. I'll go in again with the green to sort of blend the hand with the face a bit, just because I want to avoid any harsh lines on my drawing. Because the theme of the drawing is mainly green or neon green, I'll also use the light green for the hand, and then that will be my main midtone. So I'll put it between the shadows and the light. For the highlights on the hand, I'm just going to go in with the yellow as well as the white to sketch out where the highlights are going to be. And then I'll use the white to blend everything together like always. Make sure that you are applying the most pressure on when you are using the white pastel and not the other colors. I'll sort of go back in with the light green to redefine any colors that have been faded out by the white. I'll do the same with the black to sort of redefine the shadows again. Before going over it with the light green again to just soften it a bit, because I don't want the black to be too heavy. Here I'll start with the hair, and then I'll go in with the light green first, and I'll just basically go right over the area where the hair is going to meet the hand. Before softening it out with the light yellow. To sort of outline the bangs and have them blend in with the face more, I'm going to go in with the light green as well as the white pastel, and I'm just basically going to alternate between those colors to just lay out where the bangs are going to be as well as the top eyelid. I'll start dragging that green to the top of the bangs, just basically doing those very thin strands of hair. Then I'll go in with the black pastel to outline where all of the darkest areas in the hair are going to be. I'll do the same with emerald green pastel, and I'll just go over the shadows a bit more. This is because I want the hair to be a bit darker, but at the same time not have it too dark, and have it sort of blend in with the bangs or the highlights. This simply helps me just block out the hair without having to worry too much about the detail in it. When using the light green pastel, I slowly start to blend those shadows with the rest of the hair, because like I mentioned before, the green is my main mid-tone, so it is the color that I'm going to use the most. Here I am increasing the pressure that I apply to the pastel a bit more, just because I want more pigment to appear on the page. I'll go back and redefine some of the shadows in the hair using the emerald green. And then to add more warmth to the hair, I'll go in with the yellow and do the same thing. But I'll mainly apply the yellow in the areas where the light isn't in the hair, so it's basically just highlights. I'll keep repeating this process so that I'm able to basically layer all the colors and have it look very blended without having any of the white page peeking through from underneath the colors. Then for the heavier highlights, I'll go in with the white pastel. Here I'm applying the most pressure because the white pastel is very hard to get the pigment out from onto the page, so I'll be applying more pressure here, and then here, because of the flashlight effect, the bottom part of the bangs are going to be pretty much lighter than the rest of the hair, so I'll concentrate the white pastel there more. I'll then go over it with the yellow pastel, just add a bit more warmth because the white does tend to fade out the colors a bit. I'll keep repeating this process until I'm pretty much happy with how it looks. And then using the yellow or the white pastel, I'll start to add in thinner strands of hair just to bring in more detail to the hair. For the background, I'll go in with the black and I'll basically just honestly shade the entire thing. I will leave a section at the top just for a light source from the back. Because of that light source, I really wanted to create just a sort of ombre effect with the green colors. Like usual, I'll go in with the emerald green to sort of blend out that black. Also go in with my finger for the background because I don't mind when the colors get muddy because of that, because it's the background that's not my main focus, and it'll help me just blend out the color more without using too much pastels before going in with my white pastel to create the light effect from the light source in the back. And then I'll lastly just go in with the light green to blend in the hair with the background because I do prefer the soft blended look. And that should be all. I'll usually leave a tissue paper between my pages to avoid any transfers. That's it. Bye bye.